The NFL regular season is officially over, which means it's time for playoff predictions, where I pick the highest seed and see what the comment says. No, but probably. I don't know. This has been a very, very wild NFL season. It feels like it's been the most difficult to predict in recent memory. And even as a Giants fan, and my bias will show in this video, surely, I didn't think the Giants would be near the playoffs. I didn't think the Seahawks would be into the playoffs. The Bucs only just snuck in. I thought the Rams were probably going to be here, even though they had great injury luck last year. They were terrible. The Jaguars, I thought, were probably another year away, but it just turns out Urban Meyer is the worst head coach in NFL history. The Ravens managed to keep it together, even with another mid to late season injury to Lamar Jackson. The Dolphins snuck in year one, although I think I did have that in my preseason predictions. It's been a crazy overall season, and we'll see how crazy the playoffs are. I would expect also crazy. We're going to start in the AFC. Jags-Chargers. The Chargers are going to charger. We know that. Of course, Brandon Staley had to play starters when they were already going to be the 5 seed no matter what. What are you doing? And of course, players were going to get injured. I think Joey Bosa and for sure Mike Williams limped off the field. I know Williams was carted to the locker room. I don't know the status on either of them long term. It's too soon to say. I'm recording this Sunday night, obviously. It's probably going out Sunday night or early Monday morning for you. But man, even though I think the Chargers are better, there's something about that magic of playing at Saxonville in Duval County that really makes me want to heavily consider the Jaguars here. I really, really do. And I think the favorite would probably be the Chargers, but the Jags just find a way to win where the Chargers find a way to lose. I'm going to pick a higher seeded upset, maybe. I think I'm going to go Jags at home. They're a menace at home. I love Justin Herbert and the Chargers. So many fun players, Khalil Mack, right? But I think the Jags are just, the team of dreams right now. We've seen the Jags sneak into the playoffs and make runs before. Blake Bortles was in an AFC championship. Next up, Ravens, Bengals. Lamar is up in flux here. Bengals have home field advantage. I'm not going to pick against Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator of the Bengals, just does such a great job. The Bengals are great. I think they're going to have an answer for a team that they've seen twice already. And with Lamar Jackson's status in flux, although I do expect him to play, it's the playoffs. Yeah, I think the Bengals will come out on top. And then Dolphins-Bills is tough. The Dolphins just snuck into the playoffs. They have not been playing great football of late. Tyreek Hill seems a little bit banged up. And the Bills, after an incredible story of, oh my goodness, Damar Hamlin, this is one of the craziest things I've ever seen in football before. And it seems like he's going to be okay. And they rallied. And they played great football today to destroy the Patriots. And you got to feel for the Bills. I don't know, man. I want the Bills to do well here, and I think they kind of deserve it. This is a team that's lost 4 Super Bowls consecutively in the 90s or around that time, and one of them could have been like late 80s, but I'm not sure. 90s for sure. I think 1990 they lost to the Giants. I think that was that game. But man, they got a great story right now, and it's hard not to pull for them. NFC. This one's where it gets tough. Because the Cowboys, the entire NFC are bad, by the way. Like, I think the only team that actually might be good are the Eagles and 49ers. Like, actually good. And maybe that's a hot take. Maybe it isn't. I know you're going to cry if that's your favorite team. It is what it is. My opinion. Who cares? But these, I think, are a lot of toss-ups. I think the Cowboys are better than the Bucs. The Bucs, I thought, going into the year, were better. I don't trust them, man. I mean, they're in slugfests with the Saints, Falcons, and not even slugfest, honestly. It's if you are a UFC fan and you watched Derek Lewis fight Francis Ngannou a few years ago, where 2 monster heavyweights, if you guys didn't know, huge knockout power. They threw the least amount of strikes ever in a main event, I think is the fun stat. It was the worst fight I've ever seen, and that's what the NFC South has been this year. It's been terrible to watch. I don't recommend it. And I'd be okay if they were out of the playoffs, even with Tom Brady, right? Next up, my favorite team, the Giants. That's my bias at the door, right? Against the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings did beat the Giants already this year by a late game field goal. However, first of all, it's tough when I think it's a toss-up to pick against my favorite team. I'm not going to. If this one, or you're just picking them because you're a Giants fan, maybe that's true. Sue me, dude. I'm not going to pick against my favorite team in round one when I think it really could go either way. The Vikings have played in so many one-score games, as have the Giants. I'm not saying the Giants are particularly great here, but I think the Vikings are closer to the Giants than they are to the 49ers. We'll see how badly that ages when the Vikings make an improbable Super Bowl run, despite having 13 wins on the season. I just don't think they are quite on the same level. A bunch of one-score games. Credit to Kevin O'Connell and company for helping them win those games and helping that team rise to the moment. But I do think the Giants are in this game. We've seen the Giants make hero wildcard runs before, 2007, 2011, both Super Bowls. Do I think that's going to happen this year? Don't have a great feeling about it, but you never know. Danny Dimes, Vanilla Vic, magic is in the air. I'm picking the Vikings to go out early. There's a lot of bad blood between these two teams on Twitter right now. And this is kind of one of those fun, historic rivalries as well. Two teams that have been around forever, even if you don't really think of it as like an in-division rivalry the way you would like Vikings-Packers or, Bears, Vikings-Packers, Lions, any of those teams, right? But, the Fran Tarkenton Bowl should be a fun one. And we'll move on to the Niners and Seahawks. I think the Niners are going to win. Brock Purdy magic is alive and well. I think Kyle Shanahan might be the best head coach in the league right now, not named Andy Reid. The 49ers are just great. Kyle Shanahan has put Brock Purdy in such a great position to succeed. And Brock Purdy is rising to the occasion as well. It's not just Kyle Shanahan calling the plays and Brock Purdy just, hitting the one read. He's been able to extend plays, play through contact, like get the ball off despite knowing he's going to take a massive shot. Brock Purdy plays tough, man. I saw him in the Big 12 at Iowa State as a big Texas fan. And he wasn't this good. He wasn't, but he's playing great with the Niners right now. And I think it'd be really hard to pick against this team. Their defense is fantastic. I know the Seahawks have seen the Niners quite a bit, but I just think this is one of those times where I'm just going to pick who I think is the better and more well-coached team, even though the Seahawks, to their credit, unbelievable to make it to the playoffs with, no one expecting them to make it this far with Geno Smith. He's been awesome for expectations. Pete Carroll's done a really great job with his team. But I do think the 49ers will move on. The only one I'm really weird about is I think the Chargers could beat the Jaguars here, but I'm going to pick with Jacksonville as we move on to the divisional. We would have seen how this game actually could have looked, but obviously the tragedy with Damar Hamlin, heartbreaking stuff on the field. Thankfully, it really looks like he's going to be okay. I hate to keep bringing it up, but it obviously is huge news right now. But I really think the Bills are just, rallying around that as just another cause. And it looks like Damar is going to be, A-okay, even if he doesn't play again this season, or who knows what his future is. But he seems good. He's tweeting. We're seeing pictures of him. He looks pretty good for someone that just went through, such a traumatic and terrible experience. It could have been heartbreaking, but it seems like he's going to be okay. Hopefully he's able to make it to this game. I think that would be awesome. And we know that Bills Mafia is going to stand up and support. It's, I think, one of the toughest places to play at Orchard Park, New York. They get rowdy. And they've got a great story right now, but they're also a great team. The Bengals are going to be tough, but I think I'm going to pick with Bills Mafia at home. And then Jags Chiefs. This one's tough because I think, the NFL is going to want Chargers Chiefs, Mahomes versus Herbert. We've seen it already a couple times, but I have the Jags moving on. This one, I just don't know how I could pick the Jags in this one. It's just the Chiefs. It's Andy Reid. It's Patrick Mahomes. They've got too many playmakers, and they're too well coached of a team, I think, to lose to the Jags right now, who have done great to make it to this point. But I cannot pick against the Chiefs, and I think a lot of you will recognize that as well. NFC. This is where I think I'm just going to pick the favorites. Hate to say it, but the 49ers are really, really good. The Cowboys, even though they won 12 games, it feels like they've limped into the playoffs in a way. Dak Prescott not playing his best football. The 49ers are going to be a tough team to beat. They went undefeated in the division this year. I know that doesn't factor in the Cowboys, but that's a really, really tough thing to do. You don't see that happen very often. Even the Eagles went 4-2 in the division. Granted, I get it. Jalen Hurts was injured near the end of the season. Maybe that's a different record if Gardner Minshew doesn't start a game. They also did lose to the Commanders outright earlier in the season. I just do think the Eagles are better than the Giants. They have one of the best rosters on paper, and it showed up this season as well. I think the Eagles are going to be a really, really tough team to beat. And as much as I love the Giants, I really can't pick them to win this game. I'm picking 4 home teams. It is what it is. Upsets happen all the time. Just I am not picking them in this instance. The Bengals, Bills, that game could go either way in my opinion. I mean, a lot of these games could. It's the playoffs, but I would have the Chiefs moving on for sure. And I think the Eagles probably as well. In the AFC, in the championship, we've got Bills, Chiefs. In the NFC, 49ers, Eagles. In the AFC, 2 really good teams, obviously. They've made it to the AFC Championship. That goes without saying. I would pick in this game, again, the home team probably. The Chiefs are great. The Bills are great. Coin flip. If this is like 50-50, I might give it 51% to the Chiefs here at home, just because they're playing at home at Arrowhead. Another really tough place to play. This game could go either way. We've seen the Bills win at Arrowhead before. It wouldn't be impossible to get it done. I think it's a coin flip. I think it's a toss-up. I think it's going to be a really good game. But if I had to pick, I would pick the Chiefs. And that's knowing that the Bills beat the Chiefs at home earlier in the season still. In the NFC, 49ers, Eagles, man, we keep talking about all these home field advantages, but the Link is also a tough place to play. Lincoln Financial, home of the Philadelphia Eagles. The 49ers are good. The Eagles are good. This one should also be a slugfest. I think these are, and I've picked it this way, these are my opinions. I think these are the 2 best teams in each division. I really do. I think, are in each conference. I think that's pretty obvious, though, that they've made it this far. But it's the 1 and the 2 seeds. What am I going to do, man? I think they're the best teams. It is what it is. This one, I have another tough time picking against the home team. The 49ers, I think, are right there with the Eagles. And I'm an Eagles hater. I'm going to pick the 49ers. And then that gives us a Chiefs-49ers Super Bowl. The battle of 2 very good offensive minds on each side of the football. And also a great defense in the 49ers. You have the best offense probably against the best defense. Chiefs, Niners, give or take a couple teams. This one's tough. Home field advantage obviously does not matter at this point, but what it's going to come down to is a huge cliche for me, and that is I'm picking the better quarterback, in my opinion. I'm going to go Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs over Brock Purdy, or even if Jimmy Garoppolo comes back, I'm going to pick the Chiefs in this matchup. It's a tough one. I know we've seen Patrick Mahomes lose on the big stage before on account of his offensive line and a little bit to his defense as well, but the Chiefs, man, heck of a team. Patrick Mahomes is going to be the MVP this year probably, and I'm picking him to bring home the Super Bowl as well. Bring the Lombardi back to Kansas City. Those are my playoff predictions. Let me know if you disagree. I'm sure you will. And yes, of course, I picked the highest seeds because I don't know football. I just pick numbers, and that 1 seems better than 2, which seems better than 3, 4, 5, or 6, or 7, of course. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.